What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today I'm going to be reviewing Scooby-Doo Camp Scare. So without further ado, let's get into it. Scooby-Doo Camp Scare was the 15th direct-to-video Scooby-Doo film and was released in September 2010. And for me, I think it's an underrated classic. I hear loads of people talk about Scooby-Doo Zombie Island or Witch's Ghost, Cyber Chase, Legend of the Vampire, but I never really hear people talk about Camp Scare. And yet I think it's a really strong and fun Scooby-Doo mystery. It's one of those rare Scooby-Doo films which is as scary as it is funny. And I think it's the perfect kind of creepy film for young kids to watch. So I just wanted to go over why I think that this is such an underrated Scooby-Doo film. Camp Scare clearly takes inspiration from horror films such as Friday the 13th, as it's set at a summer camp called Camp Little Moose. And I have to say, I think that this is a really good film to introduce kids to who might be up to watch horror films, but not necessarily adult horror films. So I think Camp Scare really is a place to start. In terms of the atmosphere, it really does capture that summer vibe as well as that kind of camp idea that kids would be well known to. So I think that it really does set its tone very well. In terms of the cast, you've got Frank Welker as Fred and Scooby-Doo. You've got Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, born to portray that character. You've got Mindy Cohen and Grace DeLisle as Velma and Daphne. And to be honest, I would say that this is the iconic Scooby-Doo voice cast. This is the modern Scooby-Doo voice cast, and they all fit their roles so well that I can't really find fault with them. And in terms of guest cast, you've got Tara Strong, you've got Mark Hamill, two legendary voice artists, and they do bring their talents to this film. So in terms of the voice cast, you've got a very strong voice cast, which you can't find fault with. And in terms of the creepy atmosphere, this film really does set that kind of summer camp time tone very well. The Scooby Gang are great in this film. This was around the era when Fred stopped being a plank of wood and was actually a really funny character. Fred is the one who wants to go to this camp which he spent all of his summers as a kid, and now he's a camp counselor, and he just wants to inspire and be a hero to the young people who are going to be at the camp. And I have to say, Fred has so many funny moments. In terms of Daphne, Velma, Shaggy and Scooby, once again, they all have their standout moments. I mean, I would say that Shaggy and Scooby are definitely the standouts, like they are in most Scooby-Doo films, but they really are great in this film. And in terms of other characters, I would say they're pretty memorable. You have some of the kids, such as Luke and Trudy, two very different kids, but I think two kids which the audience can relate to. Luke is very much the very confident and enthusiastic person who's at camp, while Trudy is more aligned to the geeky character who doesn't really like the idea of being outside and would much prefer to be behind a computer at home. So I think you've got two characters there which symbolise the young kids which would be watching this film. And you've also got an older counsellor called Bob, who I think is pretty funny, to be honest. And you've also got another counsellor called Jessica, who comes from a rival camp, and she is once again a very interesting character. For the most part, I would say that the new characters are memorable enough to feel like real people in this film. It's not like when you're just introduced to characters in Scooby-Doo films, they're just there to be suspects. In this film, they actually feel like real people, and I think that's a good thing. The monsters in Camp Scare as well are some of the more memorable. You've got the Woodsman, which is this crazed axeman that stalks Camp Little Moose. He is great, has some very scary and creepy moments. And you've also got the Fishman, a half-human, half-fish creature which stalks the lakes around the area. And I have to say, the thing about both of these monsters is you've got a threat on land and you've got a threat in the water. So you do get some very memorable chase sequences. And to be honest, these chase sequences, they're pretty intense. I mean, the Woodsman is literally throwing his axe at members of the gang. So it does actually feel like their lives are in danger. It's not like some Scooby-Doo films where you never really feel much threat because you know the monsters aren't actually going to hurt them. In this film, it really does feel like they're at risk, and that does add to the intensity of the scenes. For me, Camp Scare has great chase sequences, and I think that's what you're getting a Scooby-Doo film right if you've got really intense and memorable chase sequences. And these chase sequences, especially for kids, because you've got to remember this film is targeted towards a young audience, will have them on the edge of their seats, I guarantee it. Now, I'm not going to go into the mystery as much because I don't want to really spoil it for anyone. It is a pretty simple mystery, but you know what? It is interesting, and it's one that you do actually take pleasure working out. I have to admit, I haven't seen this film in a number of years, so I couldn't remember 100% what the mystery is. So watching it and then trying to put the pieces together was actually quite fun. It's one of those films, I think, which not only kids can watch, but adults can watch with them, because Scooby-Doo is all about problem solving and mystery solving, and this isn't one of those films where it kind of just happens by accident. The gang actually have to do some detective work in order to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So it is one of those films which does require you to actually pay attention rather than just kind of sit there and look at the fun chase scenes. So in conclusion, Scooby-Doo Camp Scare is one of the more memorable Scooby-Doo films. It just captures the essence of a laid-back summer perfectly. It has creepy scenes, it has intense chase scenes, it has great and iconic moments from the Scooby Gang, as well as new characters which are quite memorable and likeable. For me, Camp Scare is the last Scooby-Doo film which I can remember fondly. It was just such a breath of fresh air, because while I enjoyed films such as Legend of the Vampire, Monster of Mexico, they were lighter. Camp Scare, it becomes darker again, almost around the same quality of Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost. Now, I'm not saying it's better than those films, but that darker atmosphere really helps with a fun, creepy mystery in the woods. So Camp Scare, I would definitely give it a watch, because in my opinion, it's an underrated Scooby-Doo film. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit croaky. I'm recovering from a cold at the moment. That's the problem with working in retail. You're surrounded by random people all day, so you're bound to pick up a cold or two over the winter months. So I do apologise for that. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in another one. See ya!